He was like, guys, you're gonna sell out in a couple of minutes. We're like, no, in a couple of minutes. Like, no, we've done launches before, it takes a few days. We did the V4 upgrade. At the same time, Len had a medical procedure. So during the launch that was scheduled after we scheduled the release, it's gonna magically open the pre-orders at 11 a.m. You're gonna be under, I'm gonna handle it. Stan's got it, go. And he's under, and I'm sitting there, and like Mitesh, our employee, trips the security alarm. So there's people calling me. It's already really hectic. Finally, we get all that settled. So at 11, the pre-order works like magic. It opens up. I hit refresh, and the site is down.
Oh, just
at 11:02
immediately.
God dang.
Okay, we're live.
Matt, you want to?
Sponsored by Coke.
Today's sponsor, Coca-Cola Products, bringing you happiness since 1929.
What's up, everybody? Is that a real date?
I have no fucking clue.
Welcome to Laser Source Podcast, the #1 podcast. If you're looking to grow or scale your laser business, we've got two very awesome guests today. Stan and Len from PiBurn, here to talk about
What's up, guys?
more than anything. I mean, we've got the new PiBurn Grip just came out yesterday, and I mean the V4 is still relatively new, and you guys are just up to all kinds of crazy stuff. So as Michael Stevenson says, what's up, Michael? Hey, everybody in chat. It's showtime. So why don't you guys just really quick before we get like super deep into stuff, let people know who you are and what you do for, like, what is your relation to PiBurn?
Yeah, Len, why don't you kick it off, man? You give this give this a go.
Yeah, sure. So I used to be working in IT for like 20 years, and eventually I got into electronics. And then I got into laser because I needed to make enclosures for my projects. So I got into laser cutting. I got my first laser, then I got my second laser. And eventually I needed the rotary, so I made the PiBurn.
Sure, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah,
why not?
I was going to say, like, 20 years in IT, that's 20 years too long, right?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. So so the PiBurn V1, what does that look like in relation to like what we have now, the V4? Like, how much
can
has
you
it?
show him? You can show him, right?
Of course, he's got it just sitting right
No,
here.
he's got a classic one. He's got the
You mean
V1.
this?
Oh yeah, look at
This is
that.
the original. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure,
So
sure.
Yeah, I made this like in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And took me a while to work out courage to do a Kickstarter in 2019.
Yeah.
So then it went live on Kickstarter. It was unsuccessful, but we still made a product and we started selling them.
Screw it. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yep. We're just gonna go.
So when I originally thought of making it, I looked what was available, and there wasn't much. There was like some Chinese rotaries on eBay. They basically had no information. Like I didn't know if it's gonna work with my laser. It didn't say what kind of motor it has, what kind of plug, like nothing. And then I looked. There was like expensive ones from laser companies, and they were pretty expensive, but they were completely basic. There was nothing, no stoppers, like no nothing.
Yeah.
So I
Talking
thought
about
to
just
myself,
like these rods, right?
Yeah,
Hot dog
yeah.
rollers, they call them hot dogs.
The hot
Yeah, the
dogs, dude.
rotaries.
Yeah, no good.
hot dog rollers. Yeah. So I thought, since I already did something before, I did the Kronos clock project. It was like my talking clock, Arduino based. So I decided to make something from scratch. And when I designed it, I wanted something simple, something that's adjustable. So it definitely had to have a clamp,
Right.
back stopper, front stopper, so the cup doesn't move. Obviously, it has to have 2 axes of adjustment, so you can resize it depending on the size of your cup. If it's tapered cup, you can lift one end and lower it and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, and another thing I wanted to do, I wanted to make it original. So I looked what was out there, and I made something that did not exist. So I took this V-slot rail system, which was used by Creality 3D printers.
3D printers.
Yeah, I had the CR10. So basically that's what it was. So I decided to make just single rail, And if it's good enough for 3D printer, it's obviously good enough for rotary because it's a manual adjustment. There's no motors or anything.
Right.
And that's what I came up with. So I made this. It's called V wheels and V slot.
Mhm.
Basically, it's a 20-40 slot, and that's what it is. And the upper lift, I use the smaller rail here.
It's very plain Jane, but you can see the V4 in it.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, definitely.
It's like
definitely.
the original DNA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And so Stan, where and when do you come into the picture?
Yeah, so we've actually been friends with Len for a very long time, since he was in IT. And I'll tell you, he's a much happier person now than when he was in IT.
For sure. Yeah.
Doing your own thing it's just amazing. I live it and breathe it. This is kind of what gets me going. So I actually started a business, a fintech business, back in 2007. And that grew fairly well. We grew it. We sold it to a public company. And I had a little bit of time to pursue like a side gig or some things of interest. And I spoke to Len, hey, what are you doing? And he showed me this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what is this? It's like, oh, lasers, blah, 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 rotating cup. I'm like, what is there? Like, does this actually like have a market? Does this thing actually
at that point it was version 2 actually.
Just no
one makes
contact.
cups.
It's just like a thing, just like this monstrosity.
No, I had zero clue. And this is just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm fairly new to this game. I don't know much about lasers. Len is the brains behind the operation, clearly, as you'll find out more about that. But from a business side, this was really interesting to me. I really like these small niche kind of opportunities where you can really move the needle for people. And when I read the reviews,
Mm-hmm.
it clicked.
Right.
When I read the reviews that this is something that makes problems go away, right? That makes people happy, really does,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes the frustration out of it. It helps them make money, a repeatable income stream. I kept seeing that over and over again. I realized that it's actually quite an impactful little product. And I said, hey, let's do this together. I'll join in the marketing side. We'll partner up and we'll bring this thing to the masses and we'll see just how far we can go. And it's been an awesome blast ever since. Len is my best friend. He's an amazing human being. And it's just we've kind of worked very well together since.
Yeah.
And yeah, excited for what's ahead.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so one of the things that I like to tackle up front, and if you guys caught me chatting with Jason Reif about the Rotoboss, I hit him with this real fast. The PiBurn is expensive. It's an expensive piece of kit. And so I just want to give you guys an opportunity to be like, this is why you want this instead of I know, because I've had crappy rotaries, right? You go on Amazon, you buy the $150 OhmTech one, right? Sorry, OhmTech, you have your place, but you buy the $150 OhmTech one, and it just like, and I'm not technical enough to be able to describe why it doesn't work, but they don't. They have issues, And so when we're looking at the high end of this kind of kit, it can be difficult for consumers to understand. If this is made for $150 elsewhere, why am I spending $600, $700, $800, $900 on this piece of kit? What does the PiBurn do specifically? Let's just regular PiBurn. We'll get to the grip. What does it do specifically that makes it worth the chunk of change that we're asking people to spend on it, right? And how does it do it differently from other products that are similar, that in a way that it makes your life easier?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if you don't mind, Len, let me take a shot at it.
Okay.
And then you jump in, because everything is a partnership here. We set prices together. We run the business together. We make big decisions together. Mm-hmm. But I'll take a shot at this first. And that word expensive, like when you say it's expensive, you want to be very clear relative to what?
Relative, right.
Relative to what? There's a rotary right now that Len and I looked at for $40. And we were just trying to understand how anybody would ever be able to use that in a consistent manner. It's absolutely impossible. It is worse than a paperweight because it's ugly, and it is not a rotary.
Right.
So expensive relative to what? The way we think about this business is we always think about the customer. We exist to serve the makers market. We're all about the customer. So even when we tackle a very complicated business decision such as pricing, we think about it from the customer's end. And the customer's end is ROI. It's return on investment. You go buy a TV, you go buy a pair of shoes, you go buy something that you put on a wall that sits there, it just depreciates. Car, right? It depreciates. When you buy a piece of equipment that makes you money consistently, day over day, this is not an expenditure, it's an investment.
Right.
We think about it from that point of view. And so when we think about pricing, we think, well, how many orders do our customers need to buy this thing once and then twice and then 3 times? And we've done this analysis because we care. We ask people all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, we celebrate our customers. We write about them. We've got the PiBurner series on our website. That's what we do. Our customers sometimes on decent sized orders, these chunky orders, they're done paying back the PiBurn in 2 to 3 orders and they're done.
Right.
So then is it expensive relative to what? Because the PiBurn, this classic PiBurn, the roller, the 4.0, it lasts for years. Now you saw the plastic one, this is all metal. There are no 3D printed parts. There's basically nothing to break. I don't know what you have to do to break this thing.
Right.
It is extremely consistent. It is extremely user-friendly and easy to use. Len doesn't sleep nights. He frets over every little detail on that piece of machine. If it's not perfect, it's not gonna come out, right? It's very easy to swap items. It is extremely, extremely repeatable. So if you have a large order, you can have those cups done the same each and every single time. So that's what you're buying. You're buying an investment that yields you a steady, repeatable, reliable income stream. And in some cases, especially going through the COVID pandemic, we hear stories like it puts the food on the table, like tumblers sell.
Yeah.
And I have a whole theory as to why tumblers sell. It's part of a bigger theme that's going on here in the country and maybe elsewhere in the world too. But there's a very good reason why these things sell, and they're very repeatable, and they actually put food on the table.
Right.
So that's the pricing.
So you're mentioning, and this might be where Len jumps in, you're mentioning that it is so reliable, it is so repeatable. What does that come down to? Is it a tolerances thing? Is it the motors you're putting in it? What about it physically makes it so trustworthy when you're running 600 cups? How do I know that the first is going to come out the same exact way the 600th one comes out? What's the, and I trade secrets aside, what's the special sauce that makes it just so effective at that?
Yeah, it's a little things like you said, the motor, for example. When we're selecting motor, we choose one that doesn't overheat, so you can run it for hours and hours and hours, and it's not gonna skip a step.
Mm-hmm.
And there's little things like adjustments we make. So we made this clamp, for example. As you can see, this is a spring-loaded clamp. And like you can adjust its tension. If you're using a regular cup, you're just gonna use a little bit tension. If you're using something like a mug with the handle, and because rotary is a friction device, it will skip. If you have a heavy handle, it will skip. So this you will tighten this, and it's gonna hold it really, really nicely.
Right.
It's little things like this front end stopper, for example. We just recently made this. This little thing has like 5 different parts in it. So it took us a while. And you can see this roller is spinning. So when cup is touching it, it doesn't break. It actually helps it to spin. So you're not going to get any skips or, it's basically just going to engrave perfect every time. Plus you can adjust it.
Right,
if
right.
you have like mug with the handle, you push it back a little bit so it doesn't touch the wheel.
Mm-hmm. So and there are, when we're using rotaries, right, there's so many different variables that you have to account for, and not all of the equipment on the market allows you to account for those variables. So when you're like, this cup is so weird, and then there's an adjustment for that. That's a very nice thing to have and see. So that's really cool.
That's a big one that I actually didn't mention, Alex. That's a really good point. It's the versatility, right?
Right.
So if you buy a cheaper rotary, you might be able to do a very narrow kind of range of items, maybe the
cylinders.
But we want our customers to only be limited by their imagination.
Right.
We literally want them to be able to engrave anything on their laser so that they can offer stuff on Etsy that others just can't.
Yeah. And so maybe, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say one thing, and I mentioned this with Jason also. When someone is out there listening to this or trying to figure out, is this a product for me, and trying to figure out how can I use this in my shop, as someone who makes production all the time, like that's where you look at cost versus value, right? And so the thing is, absolutely it costs money, but just like your laser, you don't buy a bad laser. You buy a quality machine that's going to function and work. And that quality is what gets out, the thing. So that's just my thought. So whatever you guys out there in YouTube land think about it, just remember cost, sure, but value that you're going to get from it. Like they said, you could buy this machine multiple times over, because you're able to do that. So just a thought.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It makes sense. I mean, we've got a bunch of people, that make the value of the machine over and over again, multiple times in a month.
Right.
I mean, one of these guys, Jay Uzi on the Thunder, he's originally from Jersey. Now he's in Florida. He's got a couple of acres there, large machines, Thunder machines. He's the Yeti guy, right? He made himself a beautiful little niche. He does phenomenal work, only uses the PiBurn. He had a different rotary, never going back to that one. 500 plus tumblers each month. He's built himself a community of loyal followers that will literally buy like the newest color or anything that he has right off the shelf, right? And he just delivers every single time this beautiful consistency. And that's what the PiBurn allows you to do, right? And when people see that, they're like, oh, I get it. This is not just me buying another thing that's going to sit there. I'm buying an income stream. I'm buying success.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm noticing too, as I'm just kind of looking at the website while we're talking, is that I clicked the PiBurn shop, and the first couple listings are PiBurns, and then after that, I'm seeing like a lot of you guys are actually like putting out like upgrade parts so that people can keep up to date without having to repurchase the entire unit from scratch. I think that's really cool. Is that something that you guys are going to continue doing in the future? And why did you start doing that in the first place?
Absolutely. That's a big part of what we do.
Yeah. Is that something that you have to consider when you're working on a new design, is backwards compatibility? Are you actively thinking about that? Or is it so refined at this point that the changes are small enough that it's not that much trouble?
No, it's like, let me just give you the one overarching theme when you think about our company, Lens Digital. It's customer first.
Yeah.
So when we build a product for our customers, we're already thinking how to future-proof this. When we're going to upgrade, how are we going to keep them at the very, very top on the cutting edge? Is that the most profitable thing to do? No, absolutely not. And this is something that I know of business, extremely well. The most profitable thing to do, you've got a new product. Everybody else, it's tough. They could buy it. They don't have to buy it, but you don't have to put up, try to invent a way to help them upgrade to the latest and greatest. Companies don't really need to do that. It's not good for the bottom line. It's not great for profit.
Right.
But for us, it's not about that, right? It's about our customers' success. We want them to be able to have a path to get the latest and greatest thing so they could stay very competitive, so they could have, the newest and the best equipment at a reasonable cost. Now we're not going to lose money on these products. Absolutely not. We're still going to make a profit, but is it going to be, as much as if we didn't think about that? No. And we're okay with that.
Right. And you're mentioning being on the cutting edge, and I want to come back to that because there's a lot of new stuff coming out, including the PiBurn Grip. We're going to get to that. But can you, before we dive down that path, can you talk to me a little bit about the manufacturing process? How big is Lens Digital? How many people are building these things? Where are they being built? You know what I mean? Where does everything come from? Can you guys touch on that a little bit?
So, Len, I'm going to let you handle this question. But before you answer that question, that's kind of like the way we build it. I'll let him talk about the operation. It is extremely lean, extremely efficient. We don't waste any time. I'll tell you the top line. We are probably right now the leading premium rotary on the market. We sell well over 100 a month. When I get to the numbers, it's going to blow you out of the water. Like, we sell well over 100 a month. What happened during launch is, I think, unprecedented. I think it's the most successul launch for any laser rotary, period.
And we'll talk about just how successful it was too. Yeah.
So we sell thousands. So for instance, we just launched PiBurn 4 in March. There's over 1,000 of them out in the marketplace. Right. Over 1,000 of these rotaries, right? And what's most important is that it's grassroots. The people, it's retail. It's people buying it themselves. It's not always these big companies. Now, we work with companies, right? But we don't have these massive contracts, not yet at least. Yeah. Right. It's really grassroots. It's people finding videos like this on YouTube. It's people asking, our affiliates, hey, what are the best tools out there? That's how we do it. And that's how we sell so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, right now we're in the shop where we make it. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're there right now.
Yeah, I'm here right now.
Oh, I can see you've got the stacks over there under the
Yeah,
TV,
right
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
that's
where we
cool.
assemble them.
Stan said he
Awesome.
never leaves the shop, so I mean, he wasn't lying.
For
By the way,
sure.
Lynn twice need help.
So it takes about 200 parts to assemble PiBurn. All kind of screws, CNC machine parts, laser cut parts. So everything's assembled here in New Jersey in our office.
Mm-hmm.
We currently have just one person working with us assembling, but I think we're gonna hire more soon because
If you guys are doing 1,000 a month, you're gonna need that, right?
Well, it's not 1,000 a month, yeah, but I think that's
I wish it
we're
was
gonna test the
1,000.
market for that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you guys get the parts, how many man hours do you think goes into one unit? Like how many hours is spent actually putting a PiBurn together? Like total between everybody who has their hands on it.
So just that pure assembly takes about hour to hour and a half.
Nice. Yeah, that's not bad. That is very
That's
lean.
not bad at
No
all.
kidding.
It's super lean. Now, there's also testing. We don't let
Right.
it out without testing. Len has this special machine,
Mm-hmm.
so it's all got to be perfect.
Yeah.
But it's super efficient, guys. Like it is a factory there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I built a tester which it has 5 different plugs. So we test every motor. We wire all the motors here too. So we solder the plugs and we plug it each one and we test it, make sure it's spinning both ways and it works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Len sometimes points out, is wait, the companies that sell less than us have more people working for them. How's that?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't ask me that question. If you're still alive, we're still surviving.
Yeah, you're doing it, right?
Stan does the
We just don't sleep.
Exactly. And the last thing I want to mention before we go to the grip, and I do really want to talk about the grip because I'm particularly interested in that. I noticed that you guys are selling feet for mounting the PiBurn on a breadboard for a Galvo laser.
Yeah.
You list specifically the fiber laser, but I'm assuming any Galvo laser will work fine. How long have you been eyeballing Galvo lasers? How long have you been using your equipment with them? Because obviously the PiBurn's been being manufactured for far longer for CO2 style lenses. Have you seen success with Galvo lasers? Are they functioning just as well? Is there anything special that people need to know, especially here on Laser Everything, because we are a very Galvo centric market, and that's a big untapped market as well for rollers, right? Rollers and Galvos haven't traditionally kind of been a thing that you would associate with one another. And it looks like you guys are trying to do something about that. So how well has that functioned so far for you?
Well, actually, I was surprised how well it works. It just plug and play. I mean, one day I just plugged in my PiBurn into my fiber laser from AliExpress, and it just worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So we have 2 fibers and 1 Galvo, and all of them just plug and play. You just plug it in, you put the steps in the settings, and it works.
And it just works. Yeah.
It just works. Yeah.
And people are catching on. Now, what we haven't done is we haven't marketed aggressively.
Yeah.
But
Right.
people are catching on. They're already buying the, grip, which we'll talk about, which is a chuck style rotary, but with all of its enhancements and the adjustability, it's a game changer for fiber, basically.
Yeah.
So people are buying the feet and they're buying this for fiber lasers. And then what they're doing is they're testing out the roller on their fiber, and we're getting more and more videos of people successfully using it. Now, as Lightburn comes out and kind of gains market share and adoption there in fiber world, I think that's only going to increase the demand
Absolutely.
for this sort of thing. So we're very, very hopeful, but we haven't really hit the gas pedal yet. But that's going to happen.
Yeah, one thing that it comes to mind pretty quickly too is that I would make the argument, in my experience at least, that the vast majority of CO2 lasers that are on the market right now are 2-phase, and the fiber and Galvo world is very more so split 2-phase, 3-phase. It's kind of like a crapshoot. Do you guys are you guys offering wiring for 3-phase systems now? And is that just something you can just drop down and click on the website, or do we need to reach out and get in contact with you?
That was exactly what my brain was just wondering too.
Yeah.
No, we do.
It's drop down. It's a drop down. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Got it. And there's no difference. I don't need to order a special PiBurn for a Galvo laser. I can just buy the PiBurn. As long as my phase matches, I'm good.
We could do custom wiring. So there's a way you could specify the pinout of the plug if you've got some sort of weird wiring.
Mhm.
But a lot of the Boss machines are 3-phase. Just our smaller ones are 2-phase. A bunch of other machines, you literally, again, this goes back to the customer mindset. We always think about the customer. I want to do what's easier for them.
Right.
I don't want them to touch a soldering iron. I don't want them to do anything. I want it to be plug and play. This is a big deal. As soon as I joined, we redid the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. So now when you're buying a PiBurn, I'd rather you not have to tell us the pinout and all that. Just use a drop down, give me the laser and the make and the model, and we will take care of the rest.
Yeah.
That's it. You're done.
And
So
we
that's
also make adapters. Yeah, we make all kinds of adapters from one motor, from one laser to another laser. You can buy it on our website.
Yeah, and that was actually my next question too. So I'm home for the winter. I don't want to go back to the shop if I don't have to this winter. We're bracing for snow. Buffalo just got 6 feet, so I brought all my machines home.
No.
I brought all my machines home, and I've got the Ranger behind me. When you guys shop my PiBurn over to me, it's wired up for the Mira, so it's using the 6-pin. This is just a standard 4-pin 2-phase. Is it just a click and buy on the website? Or
We'll hook you up. We'll hook you up for you.
okay, well, somebody in my position, let me say. So like, because other people I know, so like what people do. Here's a better example. So a lot of people buy like the Mira 7 for their main machine. That's their main rig. But then they go to like an OhmTech and they want like one of the 50-watt desktop units to just do tumblers, right? And that's just their tumbler machine. So how hard is it to, like, what's that how much communication is involved? What do they have to do to be able to jump back and forth between those two different machines?
So you just go to a website, you choose the cable, what kind of cable you want, either adapter or extension cord, and then you choose, you want to go from Mira to 2-phase, you want to go from OhmTech to 2-phase, and so on. We have a selection of the products, and you get cable like
It is super simple, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. I mean, you could use this thing on a Mira, plug in your adapter, and then go on a Gavel, go on a fiber.
Oh, that's cool.
So here's an example. Here's the Mira to 2-phase. So this is 6-pin here, and then this goes into your fiber.
Got it.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Well, here, I'll show
That's
you guys
really cool.
actually on the
adaptability
website.
on that's sick.
I have this pulled up for the PiBurn Grip, and you can actually, it's the drop down to talk about is right here.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So it tells you everything there. And how'd you hear about them? Might want to mention laser everything. That'd be great.
So, I mean, Boyce kind of threw it up there. So what is the PiBurn Grip? Just what's the headline on that? The PiBurn Grip is...
It's
Len,
our version
me,
of
for you. It is. I'll go. Ready?
Okay.
It is an absolutely game-changing chuck-style rotary that will let you engrave on anything you can imagine, from
Now,
pens to dog balls.
It
is a real game changer.
I've got a chuck back here that came with my fiber laser that I could literally like crush a geode with.
You could kill somebody with that thing, right?
Why do I need the grip instead of that?
Because this thing was literally made by us from scratch, specifically for the laser engraving function. We didn't go out and borrow this from a lathe machine or from somewhere else where the chuck mechanism is so bulky and so heavy. It's overkill. It's less adjustable. It's not as delicate. So try to do a very thin, champagne flute or a very delicate glass on that big heavy chuck.
Right.
You might break it. Oh,
Right.
Hey,
I wish Lynn was ready to show us something or anything.
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'm ready just in case you guys want to see.
He's prepared.
I'd love to. I mean,
hell yeah, let's go, man.
Well, I mean, we can chat.
This thing you guys will
chat
see. It's an absolute game changer. We're already hearing it from the beta testers.
Yeah. And I see you've got the Yeti dog
Holy
bowl
shit.
on there. Yeah,
It's
no
massive.
joke.
my God.
It's
No joke.
massive.
And it comes. So I can jump from like the like Hydro Flask, for example, or whatever that is in the back, to the dog bowl. I don't need to buy anything extra. It just works that way.
And look at the adjustment. He's adjusting it with one hand.
With one hand.
It's literally like the simplest
that's pretty
thing in the
dope.
world.
Yeah, and so the other thing that I was thinking, so we have the PiBurn V4, and then we have the PiBurn Grip, and then we have the PiBurn Omni. Is the Omni simply just a V4 that comes with the PiBurn Grip attached?
Yes.
It is.
So I don't lose anything by upgrading my V4 to the Grip rather than just buying the Grip outright, right?
Right.
It's identical.
Right. Yeah.
No, it comes absolutely. You're absolutely right. No, you nailed it. So
Okay.
the Omni is just a configuration. We don't even think of it as a standalone product because it's just really the roller with the grip mounted right on top of the wheels.
Okay.
So what that allows you to do is very quickly go from doing a chuck. Let's say you want to do a couple of pens, you want to engrave those, straight back to your 12-ounce tumblers on a roller if you wanted to do that.
Right. And so is there, like, if I buy the grip, right? If I just buy the grip outright, can I buy the other half of the V4 and upgrade my grip to a, you know what I mean? Like, for people that, because I know that a lot of people are just running out and buying the grip, and that's sweet and all, but maybe they want the roller action too. Do they, those people wouldn't want to have to go out and buy a whole V4 because they already technically have half of it, right? So they would. Is that something you've thought about or planned for at all?
In theory, but it usually, Alex, works backwards. It works the other way.
Yeah, right.
We've got thousands of people with the roller.
Right.
All they want to do is they want to add their capability.
Right.
So what the way our thought process worked is, let's think about our customers first. It's always that. Let's always that. I don't want to just come up with cool ideas and then not be useful to customers. What do our customers want? Well, they've got the rollers. Now, do they also want the chuck? Do you guys want to do these huge dog bowls? Do you guys want to potentially do jewelry, potentially do pens, potentially do all this other stuff, right? Yes. Oh, just buy this add-on kit.
Right.
And that is wildfire.
Yeah.
So the way we launched that thing was, it exceeded our expectations by,
it's
just an add-on kit. It builds the Omni. That's all it does.
It's really nice too. Oops, sorry. Go ahead, bud.
Oh, I was just gonna. Mine's really quick, and then I'll let you go, Matt. Yeah. Not to make it sound bad, because it's not bad. It's an accomplishment, if anything. But I heard there were so many pre-orders on the first day, it actually crashed the site.
Can we tell you what happened? Do you want?
I would love. Yes, please. That's what the podcast is for. I would love to hear the story.
So this is, I guess, like, I've seen movies and like startup movies and stuff like that, and I've read about it, and you never think it's ever going to happen to you, ever.
Right.
Like, this happens somewhere in the universe to somebody. This is not going to happen to us. And so we're thinking, all right, you know what? We're going to test the waters. Let's just sell 100 units. How long do you think it's going to take us to sell 100 units? Yeah. Len is like, maybe a week or two. I'm like, nah, it's going to go in a couple of days. And Michael Stevenson, who's he's a rock star. He's legendary customer service and tech support. He was like, guys, you're going to sell out in a couple of minutes. We're like, no, in a couple of minutes. Like, no, we've done launches before. It takes a few days. We did the V4 upgrade. It takes some time for people to get around to it. Yep. And so that sort of thinking, right? We go online, we refresh the site. At the same time, Len had a medical procedure. So during the launch that was scheduled after we scheduled the release. And we're like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Like, everything is going to be all right. It's going to magically open the pre-orders at 11 a.m. You're going to be under. I'm going to handle it. Stan's got it. Go. And he's under, and I'm sitting there. The morning of, our security alarm goes off, right? And like Mitesh, our employee, trips the security alarm. So there's people calling me. It's already really hectic. Finally, we get all that settled. So at 11, the pre-order works like magic. It opens up. I hit refresh, and the site is down.
Oh, just
at 11:02
immediately.
God dang, that's crazy.
I should have known because when I was looking at Google Analytics, I realized that at 10:30 we had like 50 people. I'm like, that's not. We're gonna handle this. But then at 10:45 I was like 100, 150, 250. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And and it goes. And we had hundreds of people on the site.
Right.
And I think they added the PiBurn Grip to their carts all at the same time, and our systems flipped out.
It was just like, no, I'm good.
So luckily they had an EpiPen next to Lynn.
Our payment system crashed. Our site crashed. Our WordPress crashed.
PayPal died.
PayPal was like, I ain't dealing with you guys. I don't know what's going on. We actually lost orders because of PayPal. Yeah, we were dealing with that last night.
Right.
So everything crashed, and I'm like, and Len is out, and I'm like, oh my God, you just. But,
wake up!
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've got an EpiPen next to him on the table. Just
get him. It's like Pulp Fiction.
and then of course, like, all the messages keep coming in because we have hundreds of people with trying to really check out, and we only have 100 available, and they're sold out in the first. I think they were sold out in the first 5 minutes. But what happened is the payment system crashed. And so people kept dropping it from their cart. And somebody else would come in and scoop it up. And they're like, I got it. And everyone was like, we can't get it. You know? So they were gone. They were completely all gone in the first 15 minutes.
When you thought that you were going to sell 100 in a couple days, what was the release schedule looking like for more? And how has that changed now?
I think that's what most people are wondering. Yeah,
that's what there's 46 people watching live right now, and I'm sure that there will be hundreds later that are itching, scratching and writhing for that answer. So what's the plan? I
mean, we're going to push like we've never pushed before without sacrificing any quality. That's really the answer.
Yeah,
we're not going to budge on quality. So if we need to do something, we're gonna have to delay it. Right?
If Lynn has to work 27 hours a day, it's gonna happen.
Well, he's somewhat of a machine, but I don't want to test those limits yet.
He doesn't stop.
We will hire people. Yeah. We're already talking to people.
That's cool. Good job, man. Congrats, by the way. That's awesome.
This is insane demand, but we'll meet it.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that in the little box with the adapter for my Ranger, there's a compartment where my PiBurn grip will go. I'm just saying, no pressure. That's what I think Santa's bringing me.
What I was going to say about just from hearing about what you guys said, what's really cool about that is someone who has a small shop, like I've only got 400 square feet. The fact that you get that much versatility in a machine, like it's literally just an additional piece that fits in your hand, like in a drawer next to your lenses. That's pretty sick.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
And it's actually like, it's interesting, Matt, you brought that up because people are looking at it also as not just a diversifier for their business and for the things that it can offer, but it's also a backup of sorts because it comes with its own motor, its own plug, right? It's almost a standalone rotary, and the only thing it uses really is the rail and the lift mechanism from the PiBurn. Besides that, it is a full-fledged product. And the pre-sale price for this thing is insane. It's $395, right? Yep. And so what we did after the first 100 were gone, we were kind of like gathering the pieces and dealing with all the inquiries and all the issues that came up. I think we had something like 300 open tickets in the system. People were waiting. We didn't sleep at night. I think I stayed up until 2. I literally passed out while I was messaging somebody. I don't know how late Len stayed up. We don't know. And Mike was there working with us too. Yep. But at the end of the day, we got through it, and we said, you know what? All the people that had it in their cart and the site crashed, that's on us. And what we're going to do is we're going to open it back up at the same exact price, so you don't lose anything. Now, I won't be able to fulfill it in December. We'll fulfill it in February. We have to kick that date back because we just don't have
you can at least honor the price.
But we're going to honor the price now. And now again, the thinking like that. Any other company would say, why would I give up $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in profit? Why would I do that? But we weren't thinking like that. We were like, what is the right thing to do for our customers? What is the right thing to do for our customers? Yeah. Should we honor it? Yes. Some of the blame is on us, right? It's our systems. Could we have better tech stack? Yes. And it can go on and on and on.
PayPal. It's you, PayPal.
PayPal, right? Yeah. And so what we did is and people were extremely happy actually with that decision. And now looking back, I don't care about the profits as much as the goodwill and doing right by our customers. Really, that's all.
I mean, there's a hell of a lot more than even 1,000 people with laser marking machines, right? So you're kind of planting the seeds now too for that future grassroots expansion that you mentioned earlier, especially into the Galva world. That's one of the things that I'm most excited to play with the grip for. One of the biggest problems with the UV laser, which is kind of exploding right now in our world, is ultraviolet. The number one thing you want ultraviolet for is glass. And the absolute last thing that you want to stick in one of those tank chuck rotaries is glass. I mean, you see
glass, right?
the 1 Newton, micronewton too much pressure and the glass just explodes.
It's just not made for that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we made this thing exactly for that reason.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to do with it. I really want to hook that up to my UV.
Yeah.
Like looking
Oh,
at
you're gonna love it.
Lynn.
You're gonna absolutely love it. Those fingers are padded. They're
Yeah.
rubber.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
They're
There we go.
Silicone. It's a silicone
There we
tubing, so they're very soft,
Right,
but they also hold it really well.
right. And how does it handle the back end weight too? Because I'd love to see that giant mug with the big handle on it. Because one of the things that
That's
the beer mug?
That's a stein. That's a
Bowl,
beer stein. And I don't think it's
bowl is
circular, by the way.
Like, it's huge.
they always seem to the asses of these essentially are so heavy, right? Like
It's really heavy.
slip right
This is
off.
like I can tell you right now, this weighs. Let me see how much this thing weighs.
Because
By
what
the
a lot of
way-
people try to do with the crappy chucks
This is 3 pounds.
Yeah,
Holy crap!
2.9, 2 pounds,
Too thick.
9 ounces. Yeah.
right. And they'll try to like tape over the chucks, or like use rubber bands or something.
Yeah,
but
there's
the
like, that's a
glasses,
brush solution.
the glasses are just too heavy.
Right.
They're just too heavy. So for sure. And that's where the other half of the PiBurn comes
Yeah.
in.
Exactly. You need
I
that.
love
You need
it.
for this heavy.
You need
You
this
need
for
that.
this. Yeah.
Right. But that's
But
something
look
you're
at
not gonna. That's something you're not
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
find with the traditional
Nice.
like Chinese tank chucks.
This thing is a dream. I mean, the people that are like I said, we had a couple of beta testers. We were very careful about this release, guys. Like,
Yeah.
the Chuck system is a new system for us, and we don't want to mess up.
Right.
So we tested this ad nauseum. We were already playing with it in the summer, and then we had beta testers, and we found an issue or like an improvement. We had to do the whole process all over again. That's months.
Yeah.
And now we finally have beta testers, and the beta testers are like, "You're ready. Just stop. You guys are ready. It's amazing. You put this thing in a fiber laser, and it's the only way I can do the glass that I want to do.
Right.
There's no other way for me.
Yeah. And is the drive on the chuck, is it 1-to-1 or is it geared?
It's 1-to-1.
It's
Direct.
1-to-1.
It's
Okay.
direct.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
No chains, no belts, no nothing. Not just
And another question I had, one of my favorite early rotaries was the Mansfield, because when I was new and I didn't know what I was doing, the Mansfield has the steps for rotation literally engraved on the center rail. How do we have to do the math when we pick up a PiBurn, like a V4, to figure out like the gear ratio and the wheel diameter and like all that? I mean, like
every different item.
how much? Yeah, how much math is involved, or is there is there anything that like
Makes it universal.
Yeah, thank you.
oh, that's you, Len. I ain't
Yeah. Well,
And
we do
It's
have,
like
Yeah.
we do have
Pops a
settings
coat.
listed in the manual. A lot of laser manufacturers actually, they're including the configuration file for the light burn, specifically for PiBurn.
Mhm.
It's like Ian, for example, sends it to customer. You get it on the USB stick. Yeah, we do have listed in the manual for every machine known to us.
Mhm.
But also there's just a formula. It's basically whatever your driver's steps per rotation set, just multiply by 2.4, and that's our gear ratio.
right. So
that's for the roller. Now the PiBurn the grip, the PiBurn grip changes the game a little bit.
right.
Yeah.
You don't need the wheel.
Because
There's
it's
no
1-to-1.
wheel.
So it's just what's your
Yes.
stepper driver set to? They
That's
can
it.
match.
That's
Have a
it.
nice day. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yep.
wonderful.
It's so sweet. Yeah, no changing steps. You just measure the diameter of whatever it is you're doing, throw it on there, and you're done.
So you do have to change the diameter for every object.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes, but you got to measure the diameter, right?
Yeah.
Can I just say, if you need anyone to beta test that in a high humidity climate like Florida,
Where are you based, Matt? Where are you?
Tampa, so way down in the swamp.
Nice. So we've got Jay, who's out in Florida. He's
Yeah, I know.
pretty human. Yeah, he's amazing. He's
Matt
amazing.
knew the answer to that question before.
I already knew. Listen,
We've got
just
amazing
like you
data-
guys.
You know,
I try to think
Emily
about the
that
bottom
Model Laser
line.
has one. She's awesome.
I'll share with
That's
you, Matt.
awesome, dude.
I'll send you mine when I'm done with it.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Because I just got the UV, and literally, I've got a winery, I've got a brewery, I've got like.
Never mind. You
meadery.
might not make it until when I'm done
Oh,
with
that
it.
sounds you're tempting us, man. That sounds amazing.
Dude, it's all glass, people. They all the time they ask me. So like hearing that, it's like maybe when
It's
you guys
cool.
get back up, I can get that
One of the last things that I was going to ask during the podcast today that I thought we would just kind of roll into conversation, kill the rest of the time with, was what's next. But I feel like I can't answer that or ask that anymore, because what's next is that you have a million PiBurn grips to build at this point. So, I mean, is there? I know. I mean, I'll ask anyway. Is there a what's next? Is there anything else that's hiding in the shadows over at Lens Digital, or are we really focused on the grip right now?
Well, we are focused on the grip, but there's so many different combinations, and I just thought of other things we're gonna add on to the grip. So you're gonna see more new things coming out for the grip. Like, we're thinking about base for the fiber laser. Just without rail, you can attach to it. Stuff like the different kind of jaws.
Yeah.
And we also got other things that so if you've been on the website, you've seen this vacuum table, which is called the Vortex, which is a sick piece of machinery. Mm-hmm. So anybody who does any sort of cutting on leatherette, even leather, fabrics. We've got Kathy, the floss queen, out in California. She does a lot of work on that vacuum table. Hope Yoder is using it in her classes. Mm-hmm. So that is another thing that's really come a long way. It's gone through our R&D steps, and it is pretty incredible. All right. So anything that wants to warp, like cardstock, or we use it actually to cut cork for the PiBurn feet, the magnetic feet. If you take a look at your 4, Alex, you'll see those magnetic feet. So cork wants to warp and wants to stay up like this, and it's not even. And then the slightest movement is going to screw you up, right? So the vacuum table makes all that go away.
Where is the vacuum table? Why am I not seeing this right now?
Really cool product.
Is it?
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
That's it.
Yeah.
The Vortex. Interesting. I have not
hasn't that been around for a while, right?
Before.
Oh, you don't understand what we had to go through to get the mesh right. I mean, it's all custom made. This thing is absolutely 100% custom made.
So I can just chuck this into like the Mira. Like,
That's what you do. You chuck it into a Mira, you chuck it into a Boss, you chuck it into anything. There's no compatibility issue.
What are the dimensions on something like this?
If you scroll down, you'll see.
Yeah, I think it's 24 by 14.
14
by 14.
Nice. And you can just cut right through it. Just like a regular honeycomb table. You don't have to take any special care or precautions.
I specifically designed it out of metal. Everything is metal. Mm-hmm. So you cannot damage it. Yeah.
That is cool. I did not even know that existed.
For acrylics, like the 1/16 acrylics that love to bow up and stuff, that would be so dope.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the really, really thin stuff, and I've heard even people do like very thin plywood. So it has to be thin. If it's a little thicker, obviously,
Well, I've done the 1/8 inch plywood, which was was actually held it pretty nicely. Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, I can literally think I just got done doing about 40 trophies, and you have that Flex JDS Flex stuff, or the Romark Flex with the gold, where it's like gold and it engraves black, and it literally, so as you would hit it, it would just bow up on the edges because it's so thin, and the heat makes it bow up, and so that would just hold it down. And literally, as it was traveling to the next one, I'd be sitting there like, because it would want to, and then as soon as it never did happen, and I was like, oh, thank God. But it's just one of those things, unless it moves quick, you could get caught up, and there goes, who knows, you're just wasting money at that point.
And you're not the only one with the problem. Like, that's what Len does. He wants to solve these problems to just alleviate that frustration and let you do more stuff. That's what we're about.
My mind on that Vortex goes immediately to that. Before the show, I was telling everybody how I'm reviewing the X tool right now, and it's just a it's a diode, and I would love that right now.
I get a sense of how this review is going to go.
It's for diode. It's fair. It's a little expensive for what.
But he's used to fiber that's like 5,000 millimeters a second.
Yeah, I'm trying to be objective here, Matt, and so that would be really cool for sure. Now I'm kind of reeling.
Well, is 14 by 20 something that fits? What's the Glowforge? I mean, I don't know, but what's the Glowforge size? That 14 by 20? Is that the
pros are? I don't know, about 20 inches might be too wide for a Glowforge. Yeah, so
just wondering.
It'll fit in the Ranger. That's all I care about.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like the smaller ones. What's really cool too is I remember when I first had my little 1420, like the Boss 1420. like literally that would be an awesome thing to put in there because I tried to do
It'll fit right in.
Right, and I tried to do those.
I actually designed the size to
business
fit-
cards.
Yeah, I designed the
Good.
size to fit exactly into Boss 1420.
There you go. Yeah, and it's a great
perfect
startup
for business
machine.
cards. It's perfect for that. It'll fit snugly. It'll take the whole bed, but it'll fit snugly, and you can do the business cards.
But and that's exactly what happened. Is it was moving so fast because you have to. I mean, the speed and the settings for it's fast. So like I was hitting them, and that's exactly what happened. Is it would just shift just a tiny bit, but that's all it took. And it's like, well, there you go. There goes 20 cards. Damn it.
Can you guys replace this for me?
Oh man,
I need.
that looks like a serious piece of kit, as you call it.
Yeah, for real. I would love some diode connectors.
What is that?
on the end of
That's
the PiBurn? This is the YRR 2.0 that comes. That doesn't even come with it, but this is the Ortur's take on a rotary for their diodes. If I could plug a PiBurn into a diode laser, that would be very nice.
That's a lot. That's a big market.
It's a smaller motor, right? It's the NEMA 17, not the 23. So
yeah, it's a 17, and it's but it's just a stepper motor, right? I mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works. I already have a plug, and I actually tested it on X2.
Mm-hmm.
Works beautifully.
Nice.
Well, I think I need a video for that. Is that? Would you recommend that we look at that market? So as you think about the market, maybe I'll ask this question from you guys, the experts. As we think about, we plan out our expansion and what we're going to do. We think about fiber and galvo and diode. What do you think?
The galvo market is wholly untapped and blowing up right now. Galvos in general, that's fiber, CO2 galvo.
You have a D60,
UV.
a D80, and a D100 is usually what you always hear about. And now there's a couple of things that you can add on. There's a couple of extension pieces, but even then, it's that.
Yeah, and the other thing, so people that often people that buy diodes do so because they want to start now. They don't want to wait until they can save up $6,000.
Right.
They want to start now, but they do it and they use these rotaries and they do tumbler orders. They do it. I don't know why or how. I don't certainly have the patience for that, but they do, and they're making money and they're buying mirrors with the profits. You know what I mean? So that's happening. It seems like a no-brainer to just make connectors, right? Because all you're doing is plugging it into the motherboard, all you need is an adapter, right? That's it. So if you just manufacture a couple adapters and make them available, then that's a whole billion other PiBurn customers that you can have in a snap, because they're spending $200 to $1,200 on their diode laser, and then another $800 on a PiBurn is like whatever, and it's still a quarter or half the price of a starter CO2. So I think that logically that makes sense. I think you can justify that purchase, though the diodes are inexpensive. I think you can justify that purchase. And while I've been playing with them, because it's kind of been like diode month right now, they're wholly impressive, and I can see why somebody would want that. And this needs to. I don't ever want to look at this again. Yeah, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
By the way, did you see what Kathy Ray said? Is that a pasta roller?
Yeah, it's a pasta roller. In order to look at this, this is going to drive you guys crazy. Here's your hot dogs. Yeah. Right. If I want to space these hot dogs out,
what do you do?
You see, so you move them along the ridges here.
Bro.
Oh, it's got the jaws, the ridges. Yeah.
But you've got screws on the front that you have to undo, and in order to do that, you have to jam. I don't even know if I can barely get you have to jam. Come on now, focus right.
I just got a tensioner belt on the other side too.
Oh no, you don't have to get in there. Are you serious?
Yes, you do.
Oh,
they're just straight up nuts. If you can see them,
yeah.
So you have to put a wrench in there to hold them, or ratchet them off somehow, just to move.
With needle nose pliers.
And say that there is such a thing as user experience, and
And then you have people like Jimmy who don't even know what a
can't with
crescent wrench is, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well, I got-
ridiculous, right?
Why
There's
can't
user-
you just use like thumb screws? I mean, come on.
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person.
So one thing I was going to mention, if you're talking about like things to consider, so I just bought a UV Galvo and it's a 5 watt. The depth of field is 1 millimeter, like to 1.5,
Wow.
right? So,
Yeah.
so like you basically have to be spot on. And
Right.
one of the first thoughts I had was, okay, let me get a rotary. And so I'm going to have to learn how to use this D80 that I got with it, which I've never messed with any rotary on Galvo because I just was like, okay, if I can't zap it, then I'll just use it in the CO2, right? But with the UV Galvo, I mean, the return on investment, like you can crank out pieces so fast with zero cleanup. And so it's one of those things to think about. Like I'm literally sitting there thinking about, okay, what can make this easier on my end and make it something that's repeatable, like you said, because if I can get 100 glass order, like I already went literally in one night, I went to a bar and was talking to the people and they're like, hey, we could get 50 glasses from you. I went to the winery three doors down and they're like, we could do 100 glasses for like $5 a piece. And when they caught, and he said, I'll supply them. So it's literally just $500 you're going to make.
Wow.
And it's, no time. And then
$5
so it's just
every 3 minutes.
Well, and what he said, and that's what I'm saying. And what he told me too was he's like, these people get drunk and they don't mean to, they just walk right out. So we usually order that every couple of months. And I'm like,
Oh, right.
cool. So like, then
There
I'm
you
just
go.
sitting there thinking like, thank you, drunk people, but either way, my issue that I need to figure out is exactly what you guys said: repeatability,
Thank you,
functionality, value,
That's right.
right?
And it's,
So
it's,
anyways-
it's incredible how you can sell tumblers and glasses to these businesses. And the one thing I want to leave you guys is like, people always ask about the market. How big is the market? How saturated is the market? How crowded is the market? People always ask us that. And that's one of the biggest hesitations of buying actually a PiBurn rotary or a laser. Well, everyone's doing that. How am I going to differentiate and how am I going to make any sort of money to get a return on my investment? And what I tell people is this: you have to have a different business mindset. Look at the total market for you. Look at the TAM in marketing terms, the total addressable market. There's 32 million businesses in the US. That number is growing about 3% every year, 32 million. And what does each and every single one of them have in common? They have to connect with their customer. They have to connect with their customers. They have to connect with their clients on a personal level. And how do you connect? How do you ever get any closer to your customer than when they're taking your logo and they're bringing it to their mouth and they're French kissing it and sipping hot coffee out of it? How do you physically get your brand, your logo, any closer to your customer? And this is part of the personalization brand. This is part of this authentic way to connect, that trend that is really just taking root right now in the country, that everyone should be connecting with their customer. Everyone should really be communicating this personalization trend and really trying to establish a connection between them and the brand. That's how you sell tumblers.
Yeah. That's a good.
Well, there's a couple good questions in here though. I want to throw out there.
Yeah, throw them up, boys.
Let's
We can sit
see,
back
where'd it
for a
go?
minute.
Oh, here it is. So Beam It Up Laserworks says the amperage on some of those machines is kind of low, might not push that motor. What's the minimum on that for the PiBurn motor?
I think it can work with 1 amp. I haven't tested it, to be honest.
The Orters are 2, and I think the X tool is 2 as well.
So X2 work no problem.
Yeah.
D1 or D10, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty low. Cool. Should be all right.
Yeah, should be all right.
So that's a Len question. I'll trust whatever he says. Sounds good to me.
He knows some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and my own personal question is like, for me, I'm looking at next year, like Alex was saying earlier, is getting one machine that's set up for rollers, tumblers, or whatever, and just don't touch it. So I have the mirror and I have my fiber, and I want to set the fiber up so I can come here and just blast out cups within 3 or 4 an hour or whatever, just bang them out, because it takes so damn long. But yeah, like if it's set up, I can hit, click, go, and I can be doing something else on my graphics. I can be working on my other computer, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing is like, how can I get something at the cheapest with the best quality and consistency, entry level to do like a diode or a fiber or whatever it is, that if the PiBurn sets up for it, you can just set it and forget it. And
We have so many customers with multiple PiBurns. It is mind blowing. You'd be shocked how many people come back and they say, you know what I realized? Boys, what you just said, I want one machine to always be running tumblers because that's how many orders I have. I'm doing 500 to 1,000 tumblers a month, and I need that machine just to. But I also want to do some other like micro orders sometimes, right? Like for friends or family or something else, or it's, the machine is overwhelmed. So I get another PiBurn and I use the general machine, you know, to cut and to engrave, but also to run tumblers while that workhorse is doing nothing but tumblers.
Also, moving rotary sucks. Nobody wants to pick a rotary up and move it ever.
Well, once
From
you hit the
anything
settings
to anything
right,
else.
yeah, you don't want to mess with it.
Yeah,
And you go to do the next project and you forgot to disable rotary, and so now there goes that thing, and you're like, God damn it. Like,
I also wanted to note Wilcox Ranch said, as a diode owner, I would love an adapter for the PiBurn. I have the RA2, which works, but I see the amazing things that can be done with the PiBurn that I can't get just right with my RA2. So I definitely think there's some demand there. I think that would be sweet. And fairly simple. Yeah. So that would be on my wish list.
It is not a heavy lift. That's the interesting part. It's not a heavy lift. You know, I think it's a heavier lift to let people know and to educate people that this is possible. Like this is, it's kind of like with fiber, you plug it in and it works. You're like, what? Like people just don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Riley,
adapters. So when you get PiBurn for like diode laser, and later you want to upgrade to the CO2, you just disconnect the adapter and plug it right in.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Riley says, I want a tumbler dedicated laser out of pure laziness, which is also an acceptable answer.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that is it, guys. We're just hitting an hour now. I can't thank you two enough for taking the time to come on to the Laser Source podcast and talk to our audience and hopefully help us reach some new people, and maybe you guys will reach some new people too. That's why I love doing this. It's the best job in the world, and I know how busy you guys are right now. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. It's been a blast. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of
Awesome.
course.
By the way, this whole time, Lynn has been putting things together underneath the camera.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done with the diode.
One-handed assembly.
What's next? Boyce, Matt, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me as always. Kyle's feeling a little under the weather, COVID boy. So everybody wish Kyle well.
He feels better.
Tag Kyle. Tell him to get better. And that's it, guys. If you got value out of this episode, don't forget to smash the like button. Let everybody else know that the content is good. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified the next time we go live. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Please, you don't have to write a review. Just let us know what you would do with your PiBurn. And if we get any good responses, I'll read them on next week's show. I think that's all I've got. If you want, Boyce is on the merch train. You can go check out the merch, lasereverything.net/merch. And if you want to support the channel, because I guess that's kind of important, you can do so over at masters.lasereverything.net. We are a viewer-supported channel. We try to bring you guys all of the information from everybody. We're as objective as humanly possible over here at Laser Everything. Another part of what makes my job fun. I don't feel like I have to simp. I can just have an honest conversation with guys like Len and Stan, and it makes this far more enjoyable. So thank you to all the viewers that are supporting us. If you want to check out PiBurn, there's links to all of their places and things and stuff down in the description, including the PiBurn Grip and all of the other toys and fun things that we talked about today. You guys have a great Facebook group growing rapidly that we have linked down there, and you guys have a YouTube channel as well. So go sub to that too. And I think that's all I've got. So one last time, Len, Stan, thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Enjoyed immensely.
And we will see you in the next one. Have a great night.